Welcome to the 3 and Out podcast. I'm Gary Gray. David McReynolds is to my right. You can't see that, though, because we're just on audio. And Alex Bell's filling in for Dustin Pierce.
You still got to give the picture, though, right?
That's right. You know, it's sort of like calling a game. You need to picture in your mind what's going on. So, welcome to 3 and Out, our local way of talking about local sports, including, most importantly, football this time of year. So we're going to break down the local teams, talk about what's coming up, what happened in the past, and then we'll do the 3 and Out part of the episode, and we are out of here after that. So first of all, remember you can listen to the games on social media. Midland ISD Athletics is the app.
How's our app doing?
I think very well. We're getting lots of hits every week. Sometimes there's a few issues they're working out. It's a new thing. So bear with us by this time next season. That thing's going to be up and running.
It's kind of an experiment this year, and
yes.
It'll get refined, I think, for next year.
I think that's fair to say. You can also listen to the radio. We'll talk about the Lee Permian game in a minute. They're going to be on KCRS AM 550. Midland High, Odessa High will be on Classic Rock 102.1 FM. And those games start at 7:30 tomorrow, Friday, depending on when you're listening, and pre-games at 7. So don't forget the West Texas Therapy halftime show also. All right. So let's go to last week. Lee Midland High. Lee's moved up to number 17, 49-6 over the Bulldogs. Lee stays undefeated at 9-0. Midland High is winless at this point, 0-4 in district. So tell me y'all's thoughts.
Yeah, I was encouraged by the first quarter, and Midland High came out stronger than I thought they would. They actually came out throwing the ball right off the bat. It's kind of a change from what we've seen, to try to maybe catch Lee off guard a little, maybe catch him off balance. But Lee responded pretty quickly and cleaned things up.
Yeah, Lee's definitely one of those teams. They're actually the second highest scoring team in the state of Texas out of every division. So they're going to be a handful for Midland High.
Yeah.
They're going to be a handful for a lot of teams. But like you said, Midland High, the score doesn't exactly indicate the way they played. They made some mistakes early on, which kind of took them out the game. But early on in the game, Midland High was keeping pace with them, working. So, don't be fooled by that score. Midland High, unfortunately, they are winless this season, but that's not an indication of the type of players or team or coach they have over there.
Yeah, I think you're right. Lots of youth. Remember, 14 sophomores, 8 start. So
early in the season, we saw them win that game against an El Paso team, El Paso Pebble Hills.
Mm-hmm.
They actually won a game this year that their offense was
scored 40-some-odd points.
Put some points on the board. So I don't know what happened. It's like the offense kind of come off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is youth, and that's what you see in this game in the first quarter. Mistakes cost you again.
Yeah.
It could have been a close game at the half, and I think you sort of lose your momentum. I was going to say your mojo, but this is not a good week to say that.
Yeah.
So, Lee, just prolific offensively as always, good on defense. Mikey Serrano breaks. He needs 2 touchdown passes to break the season record and 1 to break the career record. He throws 3.
Yeah,
he breaks both. So just this amazing season. He'll be back. Remember, he's a junior. Yeah. So talk about Permian coming up. So big, sort of not cross town, but down 191, a rivalry that I've been following for I won't even say how long. Since way before you were born.
Yeah, honestly, I played at Lee. We always considered Permian our rival. Midland High was just that team across town. But this for sure will be Lee's toughest game, not because of what's on the paper, just because what's in the community, the town, what this means to a lot of people. And it's similar to a lot of those rivalry games you see in college, Alabama Auburn, Alabama LSU. They just don't like each other.
Yeah.
And this is one of those games you got to throw out all the stats. It doesn't matter that Lee's ranked. It doesn't matter that that Permian has 1 loss in district. Permian has a lot to prove, and they're a good team. The only 2 teams they lost to are both in the top 10 in the state, so it's not like they just lost. They are a very good team. They're coming for Lee, and it's going to be a 4-quarter war, and I'm excited for it.
And a lot at stake here. Lee finishes, if they win, they finish undefeated, outright district title. If Permian wins, it could be a 3-way tie. And they knock Lee off from their undefeated season.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, there is a lot at stake.
So that's tomorrow. Dustin Luke. I'm guessing Dustin will be calling that game.
Yeah, I believe he will be.
Dustin will be back, and he and Luke will be calling that. David and I, again, will be at Midland High. So let's talk a little more locally. Greenwood, number 4, still. Everybody above them just keeps winning. So they completed their season 10-0. Fortunately for them, their off week is right before the playoffs. So if they have any injuries, hopefully those can get healed up. So ranked number 4, first undefeated regular season since 2002, as they beat Monahans 49-7 in a home game last week. So they finished 10-0, 6-0 in District 1 4A Division 2. They wrapped up that title actually a week before, so they're open, as I said. Trey Cross finishes with another huge game, 233 yards, 3 TDs. He has 1,975 yards rushing for the season, which is 9th in the state.
It's a quarterback?
No, he's the running back.
Wait, 1,900 yards?
1,975.
Wow.
So, we'll easily break the 2,000-yard barrier. Weston Wilbur, the quarterback, continues to be very efficient, threw for 228, 4 touchdowns accounted for, 3 passing, 1 rushing, and Brody Ray caught 7 passes for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. So they're sort of sitting at home, practicing, waiting to see who their opponent is. So congrats to Greenwood, the Rangers, number 4 in the state. Trinity, local team, 5-2. They play the Tyler Heat in Golson, which is near Waco. That's on Saturday. I'm not really sure playoff implications and what's really going on there, but I think they're doing okay in their district. Midland Christian was off last week. They were coming off that 28-13 loss to Fort Worth Nolan Catholic. They're at 5-4. They play Fort Worth All Saints, who is 5-3. There, a win gets them the number 2 district seed. And All Saints, by the way, lost to Nolan Catholic last week, 42-21. So we'll see what happens there, and we'll report that to you at some point. And then don't forget Garden City. They're number 7, okay? They're 7-2, 3-0 in district. They host number 2 in the state, Sterling City.
Right down the highway.
Yeah, 9-0, 3-0 in a game to determine the district title. So lots going on.
That's pretty cool.
This week. We also, remember, we have a college team now, 4th year, UTPB. The Falcons get back in the win column. They beat Eastern New Mexico 48-38 to snap what was a 6-game losing streak. So made a good second half comeback, beat Eastern New Mexico. They are 3-6 on the season and 1-5 in conference. They take on Texas A&M Commerce Saturday. They are 0-3 versus them. They're 0-3 against Texas A&M Commerce.
Program there.
Yeah, they lost 2017 last year. So lots going on locally. Let's move to 3 and out.
Yeah.
You want to go?
I'll go first, yeah. So my 3 and out comes from like a former player's perspective. So I do all the media and stuff for Lee, and you see on Twitter all these videos about players picking their colleges and stuff like that. I just want to urge these kids to not make their decision based on playing time, what they're promised. Pretty much go in there with no expectations. That's a great thing a coach told me. He said, go in there ready to work, but most importantly, just enjoy it. Because if you make this decision without enjoyment in your heart, you're going to regret that decision. You're going to end up one of these guys that's transferring from school to school, trying to find your place and just settling down, picking where you want to be, where you're going to enjoy yourself at. And if you do that, you'll enjoy regardless of how much you play or how much you don't. So that's kind of my 3 and out.
So I got a question for you as a player who moved to that next level, went from Lee to Hardin-Simmons and Abilene and played. I would think that freshman year is really – because here's the deal. You've got a kid that's been like really outstanding most likely through his junior high career, makes the next step up to high school, probably gets a lot of playing time, really excels up to his senior year. And then all of a sudden as a freshman, in most cases – you're sitting. In some cases, you're redshirting.
Absolutely.
And then you're just really sitting. I got a feeling that's probably got to be the roughest year.
It is so hard, and it was so crazy for me because I played D3, and there's something called the Devo team, which is essentially like the JV. And I played on that my entire freshman year. In fact, a lot of us who ended up becoming all-conference players, all-American players, we were on Devo. The number one reason guys quit or left is because they couldn't handle the fact that they went from all district, all state, to now they're not playing at all. And we actually had the funniest thing happen. We had a coach, we had a kid who stood up in the middle of a meeting, said, "Coach, how come I'm not playing enough? I was all district in high school." And he looked up And I'll try to censor it a little bit. He said, "I don't care what you did in high school. Sit down." And that kid quit 2 weeks later. So you got to prove it. You got to prove you can play. So
that's got to be a little bit of a reality check of going from you're the star.
The somebody to the nobody.
Somebody to who are you, son?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be rough.
That's good. Good perspective, Alex. All right, I'm going to talk about the college football playoff. Came out this week, so we can stop all this AP guessing and all that kind of stuff. So we went from 10 undefeateds to 8 last week. Interestingly, Baylor, they're number 12, 8-0. Minnesota, 17, 8-0. Minnesota has a big game against Penn State coming up, who's ranked number 4. So it's Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, Penn State. Remember, LSU, Alabama also play.
Yeah.
So in SEC, 5 teams out of the top 11. Clemson ends up at number 5.
Really?
So defending national champs, number 5, even though they're 8-0. But I think you could argue, and just throw this out there, Baylor has played more difficult opponents at this point than Clemson.
Yeah, and something's going to get settled out with LSU, Alabama this week, right?
Yeah, but still, it's one loss, and so
unless it's a blowout.
Well, correct, and it may knock them out of the title game. And unless there's a hiccup along the way, it's probably going to knock one of them out of the title game. But in years past, we've seen, is it okay? You have to win your conference championship, or does it matter?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the SEC has gotten a team in before that didn't win the conference championship, and at the same time, the Big 12 didn't get a team in.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you have to win your conference championship. So anyway. And then I'm going to also touch on, remember last week we talked about voting and the importance?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't care where you are on the school bond as long as you voted. I mean, I have my opinion. But 23,000-ish votes, okay? It's decided by 0.0005, which is a little over 5 10,000ths of a percentile.
Yeah.
12 votes so far. So don't ever think that your vote doesn't count. And if you're registered to vote in Midland, Texas, and you did not, shame on you.
Yeah. I hear it's going to be next Friday before the
now it's Friday?
The 15th before they have a final. And it's even Friday before the recount could be, you could ask for a file. They're going to start filing for a recount, but the vote's not certified until Friday.
I don't understand this mail-in thing.
I don't either.
So why aren't the mail-in ballots due the day of
It's overseas ballots that are mainly the issue. It's military ballots.
I thought there was just 2 of those, though, and there's 97 mail-ins.
There may be. The difference between all of the ballots, I'm not sure about. I heard a report just a moment ago on local news, and next Tuesday, we're talking to you on a Thursday of November 7th. So Tuesday, the 12th, is the deadline for those or any kind of mail-in ballot that's from overseas, military, any kind of situations, expats, whatever that is. I don't know how that works. So Tuesday's the final for that. Then they'll count all the votes.
And there's 60 some odd that they have to make sure that they're
provisional votes.
Meaning we need to make sure you're not registered somewhere else, et cetera, et cetera. But mail-in ballots should be due the day that the election is.
Well, local ones are due on the Friday before.
Plan ahead.
Have to be postmarked the Friday before the election on Tuesday.
It's weird. Anyway.
And a lot of people are speculating all sorts of
there's
conspiracies. It's crazy. It's not going to be that.
Let's talk football then.
Let's go back to football instead of local politics. So the Heisman's getting a little interesting because Tua got bumped for Chase Young, the defensive lineman from Ohio State, who's now in the 3rd slot. So you got Joe Burrow hanging on solidly at number 1, Jalen Hurts from Oklahoma, even though he has a loss, but he played outstanding in the loss, I guess, at the number 2 spot. But this defensive lineman, Chase Young from Ohio State, making his presence.
They still have 3 of the top 6.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State. They did.
I'm showing 2 now of the top. J.K. Dobbins is up there.
Okay.
So their quarterback dropped out of the top 6 or 7, at least on the USA Today poll.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, we got a QB from Wake Forest that's making an appearance on here at number 7.
All right.
Yeah, Justin Herbert, number 6.
Washington.
Yeah, Oregon.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that first 4 or 5, just the defensive lineman, Chase Young, that's making an interesting
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Good, though. He's an animal though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if you watch him, but
best player
Yes.
on arguably the
Mhm.
best team.
Well, then he'll get a
So-
lot of eyeballs on him then.
Yeah, especially this week.
Yeah.
Biggest game in ever at Minnesota.
Really. So this week is making up for last week being a
Yes,
total
Yeah.
dud of a
dud.
weekend for college football since we had LSU, Alabama, and Penn
State, Minnesota.
State.
Yep, some good games. Baylor
State.
trying to remain undefeated, go to 9-0. They play
Yeah.
TCU. So,
Lots of good football.
all right, that's what we have. That's 3 and out. Remember, tune in tomorrow. The app, Midland ISD Athletics, or AM or FM radio. Here, Lee, Midland High, not facing each other, but 2 big games. All right, that's what we've got. Gary Gray, Alex Bell, David McReynolds. We're 3. We're out of here. Talk to you later.
All right.
So yeah.
Yeah.